In this video, we're going to try to establish another trig identity. So as you notice with this particular problem, the left-hand side looks much more complicated than the right-hand side. So we're going to work on the left-hand side of this particular problem. Now, as I look at this, I notice that I have fractions here, and I want to add these two fractions together, and what I've got to work with are these two denominators. So what I need to do is create two fractions that have a least common denominator, which would be sine theta times 1 plus cosine theta. So I'm going to rewrite the two fractions with that least common denominator. So the first one is going to be sine theta, and this is the least common denominator is 1 plus cosine theta times the sine of theta. And because I multiply the denominator by sine theta, I've also got to multiply the numerator by that. And then for the next fraction, I do the same thing. Our common denominator is 1 plus cosine theta, sine theta. And here I've got a numerator of 1 plus cosine theta. And how I changed from the given denominator sine theta to this least common denominator was multiplying by 1 plus cosine theta. So I've got to do the same thing to the numerator. Keep things equal here. Okay, now I want to clean this up and combine these two fractions. So my common denominator for the sum is that 1 plus cosine theta times the sine of theta. And the first fraction, when I multiply sine times sine, I know that's sine squared. And multiplying a binomial by not binomial on the second one, I end up with the second fraction, 1 plus 2 cosine theta plus cosine squared theta. And then using some trig identities. Like here, I know that sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta, another name for that is 1. So I've got 1 plus 2 cosine theta now in my numerator. And cleaning up that a little bit ends up with 2 plus 2 cosine theta. And I'm looking at what I'm trying to get to. So in this problem, I would factor out a 2 in that numerator. And that would yield 2, 1 plus cosine theta for my numerator. And So in this case, the 1 plus cosine theta in both the numerator and denominator will cancel. And now we've got 2 divided by the sine of theta. But we know for a fact one of our trig identities is that the reciprocal function for sine is cosecant. So we can rewrite that as 2 cosecant theta, which is equal to the right-hand side of that equation. And we're finished.